Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Heath Poland with Urban Security Agents. Um, Today we're going to be talking about cover and concealment and what is the difference. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. Now I'm getting this information from pewpewtactical.com um, backslash cover versus concealment backslash. If you guys want to run over there and look that up, y'all are more than welcome to. Um, Now, I could have sat here and given you my idea of what cover and concealment is, and I could have given you, for my experiences, and that's going to be for another day. But today, I really wanted to hammer down on this type of explanation versus a personal standpoint. At some point in time, again, I will get to that. Probably won't be today. But anyway, so that being said, we're going to jump into it. Um, excuse me. All the fanciest guns, gear, and ammo mean nothing if you can't properly utilize basic tactics. When I say tactics, I mean the fundamental tactics that win gunfights. Fundamentals act as the building blocks to any skill, and today we're going to dive into some fundamental tactics involving the environment. No, not the save the whales fight, global warming environment, the everyday environment, and how it affects a potential gunfight. Specifically, talking about covering concealment. All right, so we've got 6 sections that we're going to go through. Again, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. Um, this way it's not long as hell. All right, according to the 3 11, the USMC's Guide to Scouting, Patrolling, Cover, and Concealment are defined as: cover is protection from the fire of hostile weapons. Concealment is protection from observation. Pretty simple, right? Well, concealment is pretty easy. It is something that keeps your enemy from seeing you. Cover is a bit more complicated. Cover has variables to it based on your enemy's weapons capabilities. I want to keep this conversation on the subject of subject. Excuse me. I want to keep this conversation on the subject of concealed carry, so we won't talk about grenades and artillery. Okay. In a citizen's defender mindset, cover must account for a variety of weapons: shotguns, handguns, and rifles. All have unique penetration capabilities and must be accounted for. Handguns penetrate less than shotguns, shotguns penetrate less than rifles, and different rifles penetrate more than other rifles. For example, an AK in 7.62 by 39 tends to penetrate better through hard barriers at short ranges than a rifle in 5.56. When possible, you want to find the best and most effective cover possible. Thick, dense materials like brick, multiple layers of wood, thick metal, and even lots of water can stop most bullets. It is tough to list everything that can be covered, so you'll need to be um, conscious of a good dose of common sense when choosing it. You'll also want cover that can effectively fit the majority of your body behind. A solid brick of steel will stop a bullet, but good luck getting behind it. Concealment goes the same way. If you're hiding behind something, you need to ensure it's large enough to conceal yourself. There isn't a point in hiding behind a counter if half your body is exposed. Identifying and identifying cover and concealment. Are you behind cover or concealment? was a phrase I heard from a ton of my NCO and squad leaders during my first training workup for my first deployment. Depending on our answer, he might follow up with more questions. His idea was simple. Once we learned that he was in the habit of asking the question, it became a part of our thinking process while training. Eventually, he didn't need to ask as we trained. Eventually, it became a part of the way we thought in tactical environments. Heck, it's a part of the way I think today. That goes for myself as well. If I'm in public, I automatically categorize cover from concealment and consider it a part of my generalized situational awareness, which we all need to have. Play a game and start asking yourself consciously, what is cover and what is concealment? Which is closer? Can you fit behind it? Lots of people make fun of the scan and assess, and oftentimes it's worth making fun of. However, scanning and assessing isn't just something you do after you pull the trigger. You should be doing it all of the time. Scan and assess to identify threats, but also cover obstacles, exits, and other factors. Heck, I like knowing where a fire alarm is and where the AED or first aid kit is, just because it can be valuable outside of a tactical situation. Start scanning, assessing, and ensuring that you are actively looking at what's cover and what's concealment. Quick examples of cover and concealment. The vast majority of walls are concealment. Drywall doesn't stop bullets, and neither will most wood or thin metal walls. Unless it's made from dense brick, don't count on it. Cars are 75% concealment and 25% cover. Get behind the engine block if you need to use a car to stop bullets. Doors are mostly concealment as well. Very few are built tough enough to take a bullet. Furniture, including tables, chairs, couches, is concealment and won't stop a bullet, regardless of what Hollywood thinks. Heavy appliances like fridges, washers, and dryers might stop a small caliber rounds, but rifle rounds and most pistol rounds will poke right through. Big thick trees like live oaks can effectively stop most calibers. Full dumpsters might stop a handgun bullet. But it's unless it's construction materials filling them, I wouldn't count on them stopping rifle rounds. How do you use cover and concealment? So you've identified some cover or some concealment. Great. But now what? Well, you can get right behind it, right? Well, yeah, but there's a little more that goes into it than that. Movies and TV have taught people to put their back against cover and hold their gun up as if they were praying, like this. That works to show off your star, but it's bad advice for using cover and concealment. Step one is to get behind it and orient yourself to your threat. Be looking in the direction of your threat and assume cover threat as you assume cover and concealment. Step two, get as small as humanly possible behind your concealment or cover. Getting behind cover or concealment isn't complicated. You'll want to give yourself some standoff distance so you can lean or move up and down with a firearm extended. A little standoff makes maneuvering and assuming a firing stance much easier. Sometimes cover can even offer you support to stabilize your firing hand. Sometimes it might make you conform to weird and uncomfortable positions. We've established that concealment doesn't stop bullets, so what's the point of using it? Well, if you can't fight or escape, then you need to hide. If you can hide behind cover, great. If you can't, you take what you can get. Concealment might allow an attacker to pass and allow you to escape, or provide a path to escape in another way. Concealment can allow someone to gain an advantage over an attacker. If you choose to fight, a surprise is one hell of an advantage. Boxers win fights with footwork by opening up angles of attack that exploit the vulnerabilities of their opponent. Concealment can be used the same way. In most situations, there will be much more concealment than cover. So you'll have more opportunities to use concealment than cover. You can use concealment to ambush a bad guy when possible. Ambush tactics often create winners. Obviously, this means the bad guy is an established threat like a home invader or active shooter, and the fight's already started. Cover allows you to enter the fight and put something between you and the bad guy, and is extremely valuable. Sometimes cover allows you to exploit your opponent's vulnerabilities and attack from a different angle. Sometimes it does not. However, cover stops bullets, and you might need to make a difficult tactical decision when choosing your next move. I'm more of a use cover guy than try and use concealment to exploit a potential situation guy. Training for cover and concealment. Playing the game of identifying cover and concealment is one form of training that can be quite valuable from a preparation point of view. That only gets you halfway there, though. Active training to use cover and concealment is invaluable. Remember when I mentioned having to take shots from awkward angles? Well, that's something that works best when you've trained how to. This is why barrier training is so important from both a live and dry fire perspective. Having a barrier you can practice with is quite handy. The VTAC barriers, all capitalized, VTAC barriers can be built at home if you're handy and the plans are even online. Most dedicated barrier training devices offer multiple ports for firing that cause you to conform to weird angles. I've been using the PTSB Lite from PTS Barricade for my training. I haven't. Whoever the author is of this has been. I'll go back to that at the end of this. It's super small, lightweight, and can be easily used inside the home for dry fire practice. A table, chair, or some cinder blocks can make it to conform to different heights. It is well suited for use at an indoor range. It will fit on the counter, present at most indoor firing ranges, and allow for easy on the go training for using barriers. There are four ports made of different sizes, shapes to force you to conform to weird positions. I often pair the PTSB Lite with my cell phone camera in selfie mode to see how well I'm sticking behind cover as I dry fire on each target. Staying concealed. Concealment is a bit easier to train for. It's almost identical to cover, except you aren't breaking cover to shoot. The best way to train for using concealment is to see how small you can make yourself behind odd sources of concealment. Most of us don't realize how exposed we are when we think we're hitting. Try hiding behind some smaller sources of concealment, and you can use your phone to measure how concealed you are as well. Shoot a video in selfie mode and see how fast and easy you disappear behind concealment. Here's some Here are a few words of advice from 311 on concealment that applies not just Marines in the field, but concealed carriers. Remain motionless while observing. Anything in motion attracts the eye. Use all available concealment. Remain in the shade because moving shadows attract attention. When observing, the scout looks around an object's side. Looking or firing over an object can make the scout an easily visible target for the enemy. Knowing how to properly use cover and concealment is invaluable. It's just as important as your draw, but often remains a very overlooked skill. Don't underestimate the importance of hiding from or stopping bullets. Alright, so this was written by Travis Pike. Travis Pike is a Marine infantry veteran, firearms enthusiast, and an NRA certified instructor. Travis Pike is a lifelong shooter who just happened to be mediocre enough with a gun and a keyboard to combine the two. Now it says to read more, but I'm going to leave it at that. That's who wrote the article. Again, pewpewtactical.com/cover versus concealment /. That's where I got this information from. Guys, I hope it helps you guys out. Um, if it doesn't, just think about it. I mean, everybody's situation is different. Everybody uses cover and concealment different because of the surroundings that they're in. Um, you know, my life is different than yours. Your life is different than mine. So just think about it. Um, if you like to train with these PTSB light materials, train with them. They're great materials. Um, if you can take it into a range, train with it at the range if you're allotted. Like the article said, most are. So don't be afraid to take it in there and train with it a little bit. I've said in the past I don't like indoor ranges, and I still don't. But this would be a hell of an idea and a good way to train, as per article said, in an indoor training range if that's the only thing you have, okay? Me personally, I still would rather be out in the field training, um, because it gives you both. Most of the time, most people are outdoors. Okay, they're out moving around. They're okay. So you need to be acclimated to the inclement weathers that may or may not be present at the time of your situation. All right. Um, that's why I feel that way. But anyway, again, guys, I hope you guys learned something. Um, like, share, subscribe. I duly appreciate it. Um, it definitely helps me keep going. Thank you again. Have a good one.